is the story of America. It is the story of Catasauqua, the million-dollar town. I remember the factory smokestacks. I remember the bustling workers. I remember the town when it was booming. I remember Catasauqua as the million-dollar town.
War explodes in Europe. The freedom of land and sea is threatened. The United States enters the war to aid her allies. Catasauqua, like every American town, mobilizes for support. Over $1 million given in war bonds. Men gave not only their money, but their lives. It is the spirit of Catasauqua that built America and made her great.
America was the stepchild of the Industrial Revolution. Along her rivers, towns were born. The lifeline of America was her rivers, and the river's cargo was her blood. Her cargo was fuel for her industries. At first, it was lumber, but more and more, coal was needed. Our story of Catasauqua begins with an untamed river, a river that cost men their lives and fortunes, the Lehigh River. The million-dollar town wasn't always named Catasauqua. At first, it was just a tract on a map belonging to William Penn. Then, it was a settlement beside the Lehigh River at a point where there were no raging rapids, where the river could be crossed. The man named Beery ran a ferry there. The village became known as Beery's Ferry. The village didn't mean much to anybody then, except for a few German and Irish farmers. The biggest event was when they built a covered bridge across the Lehigh River, and Mr. Beery's ferry wasn't needed anymore. But he wasn't forgotten, because they started calling the place Beerysport. None of the farmers much cared when anthracite coal was discovered in 1791, just north of Catasauqua in Northumberland County. They were used to using soft coal, even with its smoke and sulfurous smell. And when there was no coal, there was plenty of wood around. But one man saw the potential of this new coal field, the potential of anthracite coal, then known as the Black Stone. His name was Josiah White, and he was one of the founding fathers of American industry, a Quaker with a talent for inventiveness. Josiah White had found a way to burn the black stone. There was a growing market, ready and waiting, south of Catasauqua, the town of Philadelphia. The problem was transportation. The mine was over 50 miles north of Philadelphia at the falls of the Schuylkill River, and the treacherous Lehigh River was the only link between the two. For years, men had floated barges, logs, and rafts, only to have them splintered miles before reaching Philadelphia. There had to be another way. Josiah White had the answer. A canal would be built. A canal carved next to the Lehigh River. Using his invention, the bear trap lock, the canal boats would be carried safely down the river. Another invention, the gravity railroad, would transport the coal across land to the waiting canal boats. By the close of 1819, Josiah White, the Prince of Pioneers, could report 12 locks completed from the mines at the falls of the Schuylkill on the way to Philadelphia. After receiving his state canal charter, he wrote,
"The new invention proves fully our ability to send a regular supply to market."
The Lehigh River was tamed. It was made a steady, safe highway for trade and travel. Only a few years later, in 1825, the Erie Canal opened. The era of a canal had dawned for America. Young America had the chance to stretch and grow. Towns arose overnight. With a steady supply of coal, there was fire for the furnaces of American industry and the fireplaces of American homes. Commerce along the canals transformed towns into cities. Communities linked arms with communities. Canal building was the first enterprise which united America as a nation. One could travel by canal from New York City at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean to Lake Erie at the edge of the wild western frontier. When the canal boat passed through Catasauqua on its way to Philadelphia, it was a festive occasion. The blowing of the conch shell and the clanging of the mule bells announced the canal boat's approach. Oh, boatman, wind that horn again, so wild, so soft, so sweet a strain. What though thy notes are sad and few, by every simple boatman blown, yet each pulse to native true, and melody in every tone. From 1819, tonnage shipped on the Lehigh Canal steadily grew, and so did the little settlement of Beary's Port. In 1838, the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company offered land for sale along the Lehigh Canal. This led to the formation of the Crane Iron Company. A plant was to be built beside the Lehigh Canal. Using a new process developed in Wales, iron would be manufactured using anthracite coal. David Thomas of Wales was asked to build the plant at the Lehigh Canal. At first he was reluctant, but influenced by a liberal offer and the opportunities of America for his sons, he sailed from Liverpool in early 1839. In August 1839, ground was broken for the first furnace. Less than a year later, the first run of iron was made on the 4th of July, 1840. David Thomas was never sorry he made the choice of coming to America. To a friend back in Wales, he wrote,
"We live in a very fertile country where every sort of grain, vegetable, and fruit is very abundantly grown. The climate is very healthy and the weather has been good."
The manufacture of iron was quite a curiosity in those days. The bridge over the Lehigh River was at times crowded with people. It became a custom of the villagers to come to the evening cast. For a time, the town of Bearysport was renamed Craneville in honor of the Crane Iron Works. In 1851, the town was officially chartered as Catasauqua. The name Catasauqua was derived from an Indian word of the Lenni-Lenape tribe who first inhabited the area. In the Lenni-Lenape dialect, the word was spelled Catasauqua. It means the earth is thirsty. With the blowing in of the Crane Iron Works furnace came a whole new era for Catasauqua and America. The canals were the first attempt at that vast American frontier. But by 1859, tonnage shipped on the Lehigh Canal began to decline. The canal era was drawing to a close. The railroads were coming, and with them, the age of iron. It gave America the mastery of fire and the machines of men. It gave America a new lifeline, technology. Josiah White's experiment, the gravity railroad, designed to improve canal efficiency, surpassed the arteries of transport it was meant to serve. The canals of water were replaced by the rails of iron. America now had true independence, its own industry. No longer was America dependent upon the British and European iron industry. All across America, industries and towns were emerging and thriving. Besides the Crane Iron Works, Catasauqua began to develop other industries. It became known as the Iron Borough. Davis and Thomas Foundry manufactured iron plates for ships and castings for factory engines. They supplied the tubes used to construct the Holland and Lincoln tunnels. During the Boer War, Dryden Horseshoe Company supplied the British with a carload of horse and mule shoes weekly. Factories, businesses, and shops of all sorts were begun in Catasauqua. There were bakeries and breweries and carriage works and cigar factories. By the turn of the century, Catasauqua, too, was a thriving, growing American town. America was emerging as a world power. The benefits of foreign trade and commerce of American industry yielded a new way of life at home, the urban marketplace. There were things to say and things to see. It was the era of the entrepreneur. One of the chief entrepreneurs for Catasauqua was D.G. Derry. Derry, like millions of others, came to America seeking a land of opportunity. He came in 1886. By 1897, D.G. Derry built his first silk mill in Catasauqua. By 1914, he had a string of 16 mills, most located in the northeastern section of Pennsylvania. D.G. Derry was the American self-made man. D.G. Derry acquired property, land, and social distinction. Historians would write of him, he was public-spirited and enterprising, a man of marked individuality of character. His active career has been a power for good in the communities where he has resided. By 1910, Catasauqua had the highest per capita income of any town or city in America. The wealthy built lavish homes. They also gave money to the community. Whole churches were built by the fortunes of one man. Catasauqua was truly the million-dollar town. But as American commerce extended around the globe, so did the interest of America for the safety of America. Economics wove a fabric of world trade. War in Europe was war at home also. And so it was that America went to war to make the world safe for democracy. Though President Wilson had promised to avoid war, when war came, millions of Americans, men and women, lined up to support their nation. It was a world war. New ways were needed for America to fight war on such a grand scale. War bonds were sold. Captains of industry and average citizens alike invested in their country's and the world's future. The citizens of Catasauqua alone bought over $1 million in war bonds in 1918 and bought out the fourth issue 12 hours after it was issued. Every citizen, man, woman, and child, worked together, and no one was without owning at least one war bond. And they wrote a song about Catasauqua. They called the song the $1 Million Town.
Help along the good old town that is ringing such renown. Help our gallant boys of with pride when the news spreads far and wide that we sent $1 million over there. We have helped along the town that is winning such renown. We have helped our gallant boys across the seas, who'll keep beating back the Hun till the victory is won. They are giving up their lives for you and me. Yes, we've helped to raise $1 million. Everyone has done his share. Our boys will swell with pride when the news spreads far and wide. Catasauqua sent $1 million over there. Help along the good old town that is winning such renown. Help our gallant boys so far across the sea, who'll keep beating back the Hun till the victory is won. They are giving up their lives for you and me. Yes, we've helped to raise $1 million. Everyone has done his share. Our boys will swell with pride when the news spreads far and wide. Catasauqua sent $1 million over there.
The story of Catasauqua, the $1 million town, is the story of America. The canals, the railroads, the urban marketplace. Now, the canals have been going for years. The Great Canal, the Erie Canal, completed in 1825, was torn up a century later, during the 1920s. Though coal and iron still remain the basis of America's power, the 20th century moved far too fast for the canals. By 1908, of all the canals in America, the only one in operation throughout its whole length was the Lehigh Canal. But it wasn't like the old days. In 1917, on December 3rd, M. Church noted in his diary,
This was one hell of a year. Labor scarce, high water, no boatmen, food high, cost sheet going wrong way, and everybody with a chip on their shoulder. Nothing but fight, fight. Hell has no terror. Can't be any worse than trying to run a damn old ditch like this.
the glory is gone, but memories remain. For Catasauqua, the $1 million town.